Greetings to you in the precious name of our Lord and our Savior Jesus Christ. Today we will continue to look at the life of Moses. Now Moses had weaknesses, and Moses also demonstrated his strength in many areas as he led the people of Israel out of Egypt. Now when we read Exodus 3 verse 12, where it says, "And God said, I will be with you." Now God called Moses and he gave him this assurance, "Moses, you go and I will be with you." So when you receive that kind of calling, not through someone, but God himself appears, stands before you and says, "Go and I will be with you." I don't think we need any other assurance. So Moses, we know that initially was a bit reluctant. Then Moses took up the challenge and went to meet Pharaoh. So if I had been Moses, I would have expected. I would have expected. So when I appear before Moses, before Pharaoh, and say, "Hey Pharaoh, my God has sent me." So I would have hoped that God would have already prepared the heart of Pharaoh, so that whatever I say, because God had told me, "Hey, look, you go and I will be with you." So Moses went, met up with Pharaoh, but Pharaoh was not interested. Now, as I said, God called and sent Moses and said, "I will be with you." And now Pharaoh, instead of submitting and saying, "Please go, take your people and go," Pharaoh said, "No." Not only that, he made the life of the Israelites even more miserable. He made the life of the Israelites even more miserable. The first thing, some of us would have asked this question, "God, where are you? You told me to go. You promised that you will be with me. And now I've already met up with Pharaoh. And instead of allowing us to go, he had made our lives even more miserable." The people were making bricks. The straw for the bricks were being provided. And after Moses and Aaron had met up with Pharaoh, king said, "Hey, these fellas are lazy, yeah? Most probably they got nothing else to do, so they want to live." So now he had commanded, instructed that they must find their own straws and make their own bricks. It was impossible. And so, what was the response of the people? So instead of celebrating, if we turn to chapter 5, verse 21. So now the people were confronting Moses and Aaron, and they said, "May the Lord look upon you and judge you. You have made us a stench to Pharaoh and his officials, and have put a sword in their hand to kill us." So the people were very, very disappointed. "Hey Moses, you told us that God had met up with you, God had called you, God has sent you to deliver us. And look, instead of deliverance, we are in deep problem now. Life is going to become even more miserable." So it is a human tendency to ask, "Hey God, where are you? I trusted you, and I took the journey, and I met up with Pharaoh. Where are you?" Pharaoh refused to allow the people of Israel to go. But Moses did not give up. Moses did not give up. You can say that was the first pothole that he met on his journey. Now it's like now we all like to drive. When you're driving, we like to drive on a smooth road. That's why we don't mind paying toll to travel on a smooth road. Of course, you see some even a small pothole, then we start grumbling. Hey, why are we paying toll? But in real life, we all know that sometimes we are forced to drive on roads full of potholes. Now, I have in those days I used to ride a motor, and I gave up because of the number of potholes. But then there are two things you can do. You can say, so many potholes, and sometimes the potholes can be so big. If your motorcycle hits, then you are sure that you're going to be thrown out of the motorbike. So you say, why journey? Go back home lah. But then we know that doesn't matter how big the pothole, you still have to go because a determination. I must reach my destination. So in life, sometimes there are those who are determined, like Moses. God called. I always believe Moses had this heart for the people of Israel. That's why even though he was initially reluctant, I believe God knew that this guy had a heart for the fellow Israelites. So when God called, he accepted the call. He accepted the challenge. And his focus was to deliver the people of Israel. I will go. And now God has given me the assurance. Earlier I tried by my own strength. I used my own strategy. We failed. Now God has come. God said, I will be with you. And Moses was very clear. I'm going to lead the people out of slavery. I'm going to lead the people out of Egypt into the promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey. So Moses had set his focus, was very, very focused. So we know that every time when Moses met up with Pharaoh, I guess read a couple of verses. We turn to chapter 7, verse 13. Yet Pharaoh's heart became hard and he would not listen to them, just as the Lord had said. And again, verse 15 of chapter 8. But when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart and would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord has said. So, can you imagine that? Every time you appear before Pharaoh, and God himself has given his assurance, I will be with you. Every time you go, it's like a pothole. He says, okay, then you cannot. You may go, you cannot go. So it was like, no, but some of us would have given up. Actually, to be very frank, some of us would have turned to God and said, God, not once, not twice. Now, how many times I've gone and seen Pharaoh because you told me to go. And every time when I go, he says, can, and then cannot. Now, sometimes we can become disillusioned. We can easily become disillusioned. Now, I've come across, I've got friends who studied with me in a seminary and gave up halfway. I've got friends who became priests and gave up after some time. Now I'm sure when they joined seminary, they must have been convinced that God had called them. They must have been convinced in their heart, God is calling me. Conviction, God is calling me, so I'm going to serve God as a full-time minister. And then, one pothole 2 potholes, and then they give up. Now, it's not only priests, sometimes in any area of our ministry. Sometimes we sometimes, when things don't work the way that we expect it to work, or turn out the way that we expect them, we can easily give up. I was a priest shared with me this more than 30 years now. He had a small congregation, very small congregation. So there was this hardly 10 or 15 of them. There was this girl used to faithfully come and play organ, and the parents were very proud that their daughter was playing organ every Sunday. And then after some time, there was a new family joined the church. And it so happened one of the child could also play. So they approached the priest and said, Paddy, can my daughter play the organ? So the priest said, he was very excited. He said, we got 2 organists. So he said, I told the seasoned organist, hey, can you give a chance? Next Sunday, let this girl play. So the family got very disappointed. They said, my daughter has been playing so long. And the girl also refused. She said, I'm not going to play the organ anymore. Small, something very, very small. So you'll come across people who will give up. They're throwing the towel. Sometimes you can't understand why they're throwing in the towel. Why they're giving up. Sometimes it can be so childish. And of course, when they give up, they'll come up with all kind of excuses. And they will always come up with all kind of excuses to justify why they are throwing in the towel or why they are giving up. But Moses was a man who said, I am not giving up. It doesn't matter how many times I am going to persist, I will not give up. And we read in Exodus chapter 10, verse 1. Then the Lord said to Moses, go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his officials, so that I may perform these miraculous signs of mine among them, that you may tell your children and grandchildren how I dealt harshly with the Egyptians, and how I performed my signs among them, and that you may know that I am the Lord. So if you study the signs, initially the Egyptian magicians were also able to do the same signs that Moses performed. But as it went on, the magicians themselves told Pharaoh, hey, it is by the hand of God, these guys are doing all these signs. We cannot counter all the signs that they are performing. The magicians themselves admitted. So God was actually conveying a message to the Egyptians, you may worship gods, and I am the God. There's no other God greater than myself. So God was conveying the message, and not only to the Egyptians, also to the Israelites. So the Israelites will realize that Yahweh is the God. There's no other God that can challenge Yahweh. So Yahweh is supreme. And I believe as Moses faced this challenge, Moses' faith must have also gone from strength to strength. But it is only when we face challenges in life, then our faith is actually challenged, tested. Then, of course, we can leave everything and run, or we can face and the challenges. And I believe God was also equipping Moses. Moses did not give up. Moses never gave up. He did not say, God, you promised me, I've already met Pharaoh enough, so I'm giving up. But he never gave up. In life, one thing we must learn, I probably have this one of the reasons why I also mentioned it before. Now, if God says, I will be with you, then He's God who's faithful. He'll keep His promise. Janji akan ditepati, ya, not like politicians who say janji tapi tak ditepati, ya. Promises are made to be broken by politicians. But when God says something, He will keep His promise. He will make sure. Sometimes He may take us on a nice, smooth road. Sometimes the road can be full of potholes. Our lives can be full of challenges. But we need to learn to put our trust in God. Because He will never, never, never let us. After Rebecca was called home, as I was praying, then I realized people say, no, you must hold on to God. One thing I realized, it was not me who was holding on to God. God was holding my hands. And He was taking me through that big pothole in my life. So let us learn to put our trust like Moses. God may call us, but then we may face challenges. Things may not happen the way that we expect it to happen. Sometimes we are living in a fast world where everything's instant. Everything's instant. Everything's instant. Drive through. But in a real spiritual life, sometimes we have to. It might take years, and through that years, we may have to face lots of challenges, lots of potholes. So, are you prepared to allow God to hold your hand? At the same time, you do hold His hands, and allow you to drive on a road that is full of potholes. Sometimes when I go to Kampung Punan, I used to enjoy the drive. It can be very tiring, but I used to enjoy the drive. It's very different. When you go to a Kampung Punan, that's so bumpy, and sometimes I truly enjoy the drive. So you put your trust in God. Potholes in life can actually bring excitement into your life. Let me conclude this with this hymn, "O Jesus, I have promised." You may have heard this song, you may have sung, if you know the song, please join me. And let us mean this when we sing this song, the words. Oh Jesus, I have promised to serve Thee to the end, without forever near me, my Master and my friend. I shall not fear the battle, if Thou art by my side. No wonder from the pathway, if Thou wilt be my side. Oh, let me feel Thee near me, the world is ever near. I see the signs and dazzle, the tempting sounds are here. My foes are ever near me, around me and within. But Jesus, Thou art nearer, and shield my soul from sin. O Jesus, Thou hast promised to all who follow Thee, that where Thou art in glory, there shall Thy servant be. And Jesus, I have promised to serve Thee to the end. Oh, give me grace to follow my Master and my friend. Jesus, I have promised to serve thee to the end. Oh, give me grace to follow my Master and my friend. Enjoy serving God in whatever ministry God has called you. Don't worry about the potholes. He will give you enough grace to enjoy the journey. God bless you. In the name of the Father,